Okay, check 1 2, check testing, check 1 2. Hope everybody's doing well today. Just checking to see if microphone's on. Check 1 2, check testing, check 1 2. Hope everybody's doing well today. Okay. Got I guess 30 on the sound. Yeah, hope everybody liked this. I'm gonna remove myself from the mic. Just this spot here from episode 1. Like a whole bunch of anime dropped this weekend, and I'm glad that a whole bunch of anime dropped. It gives me just some stuff that I can look at. A couple of things that I definitely wanted to watch, was looking forward to. One of them, of course, being Trigun. Elizabeth, how are you? What is going on, friend? Hope you're doing well today. Yeah, hope you had a good weekend, safe weekend, all of that. And I hope you like my Trigun hat. Just new, brand new. Got it last week in order. Speaking of which, give me one moment here. Give me one moment. I'll be right back. Give me a moment. I gotta go check my mail real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. That's good. Nice. That I definitely hope that you can, find a job to your liking. Get the hours that you want. Definitely get the pay that you deserve. Not the pay that they feel that you, that they feel that they should pay you, but the pay that you deserve, that you can, you know, actually live off of. That's what my hope is for you, as far as work is concerned, when finding work. But I went to work today. Was off the weekend. Wasn't too bad of a weekend. Back Got back to work today. And we were short staffed, so I had to do extra work, which sucked, and I still got paid the same amount that I normally get paid, which also sucks too. but but with that, I'm just like kind of discombobulating myself. Yeah, definitely. But with that, like I said, the weekend hit, and a plethora of anime dropped. And like I said, I just found out that more anime dropped. But the three that I know for sure, and one of them that I just started, but I didn't really get into because I was at work at the time, was Near Automata, the video game turned anime. I had only gotten maybe like 5 minutes into it and had to get back to work. I was literally on my break, and it was just like, oh wait, my break's almost up. And I just hopped back on that train to go do my job, finalize my job, last hour and a half of it. So I'll look to finalize that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, the weekend that was cool. Weekend I enjoyed my time. 2 days of some rest, relaxation, and stuff. But then, like I said, coming into work today, it's just like, oh man, we're short staffed. We've got this extra unit that I got to do, patients I got to take care of, this, that, and the third. It's just like, man. But like I said, with that, just finding out within the past couple of hours that more anime dropped. Trigun dropped this past weekend. Vinland Saga season 2 dropped. I gotta watch the first episode of season 2, but I actually gotta do a recording for that. Gotta do my reaction for that. That dropped, and Nier Automata dropped, but from what I'm hearing, there's even more anime, like several other anime that dropped. Maybe it's possibly other seasons of specific things that got extra seasons and even newer, fresh things. So I'm just like behind. Plus, life has just been like hectic for me the past few months. So the channel took a huge hit on me not being actually able to do anything, record anything. I know I did some recordings as far as Hajime no Ippo over the time, just a little bit. I had other recordings set up for that anime months in advance, but it was just like the past few months alone have been just like, it just sucked for me. And then now something major is about to happen in my life that I got to get ready to prepare for as I'm walking into 2023 for myself. That probably may affect the channel here and another channel that I just created over the summer, the Star Wars channel. And I'm just like, man, like, but I'm gonna still try to do whatever I can per both channels anyway. Just say screw it, but we'll see what happens. But Liz, what did you say? I'm intrigued by Stampede. I've heard Nier Automata. I don't know much about it. Yeah, the game itself was fun. I played as far as the game itself, I played several hours of it, but not fully finished it. And then they came up with like the prequel game of it like a year or two ago or something like that. I bought that, played a little bit of it, so I just have to finish playing. And then from what I remember from a few years ago, that the original Nier Automata game that came out 3 or 4 years ago has multiple endings. So I believe that this prequel one that came out like a year or two ago probably more likely has the same thing. So this anime is gonna probably follow a little bit what the video game did, but it's probably gonna go off track and do something else. I need to catch up with Vinland Saga. Yeah, Vinland Saga was really, really great. Like, that first season was really, really dope. Same thing, like my backlog on anime is same thing with video games. Anime and video games, like my backlog is just like tremendously long. I have so many video games that I've bought, started playing, didn't play, or haven't even touched. Just bought them. I have plenty of anime that I added to my queues that I just haven't started. Started a little bit of it, put it down, picked it back up. It's just, as I always used to say, and I keep saying it, there's so much to do, but so little time. You know what I mean? So much anime to watch, but so little time. It just sucks. Stampede is interesting. I think some things I liked, but I'm not sure about the characters. For me, I would say personally, character-wise, I felt like that they, for the most part, clicked for me a little bit. I'm curious about how they're gonna move forward with the characters themselves, because how they introduced, Merle, Roberto, and Vash in those, 10 minutes, first 10 minutes, getting past past Vash and Knives and Rem and the whole, what happened on the ship to us then meeting that meet was, again, different from how they did it with the with the original, because again, this is a remake, and we already see some crucial changes that they did. And even I talked about it in my review from earlier today about how they made that announcement of Knives at the end of the episode, when we didn't get that announcement of Knives until further down the road in the original. So they were just like, we're just going to have Knives be implemented now rather than later, which I just found very interesting. But I think, for me, I think that's not a bad thing, personally. Let's see. I like Rosa Roberta, but I miss Millie. Right. Curious about what Knives is doing. Right. That's the other thing that I wanted to talk about too. Again, I talked about in the review that Millie has seemingly been just pushed to the side. That's what it seems like with the character. It seems like they took Millie and they didn't fully remove her. That's what I'm feeling with the conversation. I'm gonna pull the image up at least one of them. Per the conversation that Millie and Roberta were having in the car. Now I only got I think this is the best, one of the best shots that I have of them. I'm gonna remove myself when they were driving, and this happened. This actually happened. I found it funny because I rewatched the episode while I was doing the video for today. That Merle, when she was driving, she bumped twice and caused Roberto to spill his drink twice. I don't think I captured that second spill, but it's totally fine. But I do like that they did implement this with Merle, where we got a brief synopsis on who she is as a person. And even as you look at what Roberto was reading here, something specific that it says in the objective, because again we have her age, we have her height, the gender, birth, all of that. She was born in December, right? But something interesting that is written in the objective spot where it says, to obtain a position that enables me to use more my. Now I think that's a typo, to be honest, because it's supposed to say more of my. And I want to say that Roberto's right thumb is blocking what it looks like to read communication skills by information. But then she says right here, she says, I believe humanitarian media change our society for, but you can't read that specific wording that she says there at the end. But it's interesting that she says, I believe humanitarian media, and I want to say another typo where she means to say will change our society for, I'm gonna guess the word might be for the greater good, or for the something like the benefit of humanity, something like that. That I found interesting when I was reading that spot there. And I just found, like I said, I just found it interesting that's how they decided to have Merle word it for herself, giving explanation. But at the same time, I didn't catch it here, and I should have. Roberto, he sneezes on this paper and then he tosses out the window. Like, that was just gross. Like, I didn't particularly like that about that scene. I found it a little funny, but I was just like, that was kind of gross, because what if that, like, she needed that type of thing to use for something else specific, you just like chugged it out the window. I didn't really necessarily like that. But let's dive into just the scenes, not everything, because per the trailer, now we didn't get, if I remember, I can't remember specifically, I probably may have to go back and rewatch a trailer from the past. We get this opening of the ships. I forget the number. Actually, I have the number here, because it kind of reminded me of Star Trek. But it says Seeds 05 for the number. Kind of reminded me of that when they were flying at the beginning of the episode. They were flying out, and you seen the other little ships around surrounding the big gigantic one that they were on. That it kind of reminded me of Star Trek. It was just that slow gather into when we got all these other ships flying in space, because you knew that Knives and Rem and Vash, this was their people. They were flying out. But what we see here as the episode is progressing, literally just these 2 to 4 minutes, that we then see the specific key moments of the trailer itself, where they are showing Vash talking to, saying good morning. I believe it's good morning or good night, if I remember correctly. It's one of the two. He's speaking to his people, their people, saying their names and stuff, and then of course that's when we get the explosion happening. But I do like how they did focus on some of the pods here, basically. And you could sort of see the people, but you didn't really necessarily see them until, of course, that's when the explosion happened and the fire started to happen, stuff like that. And let's see. Yeah, so this is when Vash gets knocked back, and eventually he looks up and sees Calamity in front of him. I just like these slow spots here. When he gets knocked down, we could tell that the area that they're in is very, very cold. It's like the Arctic, because he's wearing this heavy coat to keep him warm. And of course, like I said, that's when we get the these explosions on the ship. Which again, it sucks because we are walking into where, curiously enough, where these ships are going, what planet are they headed to, this, that, and the third. And of course this happens, and then of course we know why it occurs, why this is going on. Again, all of this stuff, mostly everything else, was per the trailer from months ago, with Vash coming into the room. Again, I believe I talked about this before. I like how when we see this in the trailer, we see this very nice picture of Vash, Knives, and Rem in this room here. And it kind of made me, as I was watching the scene, kind of made me wonder like how much bigger of the room it is as far as this bedroom is, with the flower and stuff. I was kind of curious about how, like, the size of the room, what their beds look like, because we didn't get any of that information here when the episode was rolling. But of course, that's not the main goal of any of this. It's ultimately to get us to where Vash is running. He stops, he turns, he sees Knives and Rem coming towards him, and we get that very, very, very wonderful moment between Vash and Rem here, and them talking, rushing as things are, they're rushing as things are happening. And I just love this moment here, because it's totally, I feel like, per the characters, it kind of felt like, to me, you could tell that, for me, Rem, she more than likely coddled and cuddled Vash more than Knives. Even though she more than likely did like an equal amount. It just, you could see that, Vash was more of the emotional compared to Knives, even here in this remake. And even like the facial expressions, like Knives is fully focused, Vash is fully worried, and Rem is like confident about getting them where they need to go. And of course that is specifically to the ship. And then once we get to the ship, again, I love them getting here. I love how they're getting in. Again, it's still that what I talked about. Knives is focused, Vash is worried, Rem is looking to do this one specific thing because she knew, and that's the thing. Rem knew she couldn't go, and it's that reach out by Knives. He's basically like, come with us, join us. You can come with us. We'll all get out of here at the same time. But Rem's responses in this moment were just like, I feel like the emotions here went in a specific route that of course showed some pure loving emotions from Rem, because of the fact that, again, like I said, she knew that she could not get on this ship with them. And she was able to actually say what she had to say to them, even if it was just in this moment, to basically say, like, go out there and live and, survive, and, I love you, all of that, and it just sucks because Vash is like, I can't believe it. Like, you're supposed to be here with us. Like, why aren't you in the ship? Because again, as you're looking even at the ship itself, it's like it's only 2 people can fit in here. You know, she would be cramped, and 2. That's the other thing that I was wondering too, guys. Is in this moment, say Rim were to be able to get on the ship. There's no other seat. There's no other seatbelt. Nothing secure. How they landed and everything. Yeah, she probably may have gotten injured. Probably may have not even survived the crash itself had they flown down. That's the other thing that I looked at and was pondering in this moment here, per this episode. That when I sat back and watched, I'm just like, it. Either way, Rim probably wouldn't have survived. You know, they're going down to this planet. They probably only have but so much resources with them. But again, ultimately, we know why, you know, things are happening the way they're happening towards the end of the episode anyway. Per how the writers are having it being done. And then that's when we get the, this ultimate push away as they are escaping. It's one last moment, and it happens so fast, and it's just really, really sad because it's just like, man, like Vash is the only one reaching. Knives isn't. They get one last look of Rim just before the moment of the actual ship fully starting to blow up behind her, and basically the fire consuming her body. Just freaking sucks, guys. I just, it's like, it sucks. And let's see. We get the ship, like I said, them flying out, them trying to survive. And it's literally just them. It's just like, man, like nobody else is up, nobody else is alive, and like nobody else is moving around the ships. It's just these 3 specific people that were doing whatever they needed to do for them and their people. And of course, like I said, the ship, their ship is just zooming out. They almost crashed even before even getting fully out. They hit some debris and all of that. All of this stuff is happening in these moments as they are flying out. It's just like, man, like it's just like crazy, right? So yeah, and then like I said, once they get out, they're just fully out, and then that's when we get the. Now originally we get the Trigun Stampede title itself, but then this is when eventually we will get the actual title. Eventually, I'm just putting it here now, and that is No Man's Land. So it kind of makes me wonder what the title for episode 2 will be called come next weekend. Now that's the other thing too, because I don't know. I don't know when the episodes are dropping. I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday. I'll have to look. That's the best thing I can think of. I'll have to check because I'm not sure when the episodes are supposed to drop. Now, granted, it's this weekend coming. I work Saturday and Sunday, so that sucks. I'm only off on Friday because it sucks. I hate working every other weekend. But that probably might end up changing at some point. Again, I'm not going to dive into my personal life of what's going on. Just, got to keep a mental note of, things are about to get real for me in the coming months of 2023. But as of currently, where I'm, working at currently, I work every other weekend, so it's always been an issue with me trying my best to still do these reaction videos for the anime that I enjoy the most, and hopefully everybody that may come across the channel or hear or sub to the channel enjoy and love. So that's always something. It just sucks because it's like, man, like why can't I have every weekend off? Then I could really pour into these animes every weekend. So once we get past the Merle and Roberto stuff, that's when we get the actual introduction, because Roberto and Merle are having a specific conversation about stuff and out here in the desert. One of the things that I so something's going on upstairs with my neighbors, and I don't know what. Wasn't expecting that. Just like, man, maybe they're trying to fix something. But you know, the one thing that stood out to me as far as this moment is always when somebody's out in the desert. Merle says it. It's always a specific thing, and what is that specific thing? I'm thirsty. It's always a thing. You're always gonna respond with that because you're out in this heat. Not sure how hot it is out here, because again, this isn't. I wouldn't say that this is Earth. This is a totally different planet, but it has desert, has sand out here. It has humidity. It has heat. I would definitely say that that is probably in the hundreds, maybe low hundreds. I'll give it low hundreds. I wouldn't even say mid hundreds, just low hundreds, and it's really hot. And you know, they're just walking out here. They're really getting it upstairs. Whatever it is that they're doing upstairs. They're just out here, and eventually, again, we do get Roberto tossing the book at Merle. Again, this is a part of when the stream opened up here for anybody that was popping in. I do like how they talk about the human typhoon. They're hyping up Vash because so many stories about how Vash is and stuff like that. How dangerous he is and stuff. Merle's response was definitely hilarious when she read this. If I remember correctly, I believe that she giggled a little bit. I just didn't capture that. But then once they stop, that's when they come across Vash. These bird-like creatures, it seemed like they were pecking at Vash, but not like fully hurting him. But I was cracking up because it's just like, I kind of questioned, like, who was it that placed him here? Specifically, who did he come across that hung him upside down out here in the middle of nowhere, right? And of course we get Merle checking up on him. He ends up extending his hand, which is actually hilarious because he's not fully tied up. So I go back to that image. Easy escape. And that's the thing. When we're looking at this original, the first image of Vash being hung upside down, it's very interesting that they tie his regular arm up and not his metal arm. See more detail as far as the creatures? Yeah, that too. Yeah, definitely that is true. The animation for the creatures were very detailed. But again, guys, I found it very hilarious that because they have him hanged upside down like this, they literally tie his regular arm versus not tying his robotic arm. I found that very hilarious, very interesting at the same time. Whose smart idea was to tie Vash up this way? But again, if that's the case, because maybe Vash and that's the thing, it doesn't seem like he broken, because if he would have broken some ropes and stuff, it would be dangling down. So that's why I'm saying, like, yeah, it would be smarter for them to tie the other arm, or both arms, should I say, not just his right arm. his left arm is like just like cracking me up how they did that. But I thought it was funny that when he spun around, he was laughing here. I thought that was fairly a fairly comedic thing. But as he's turning and as Merle's getting ready to help him get down, they do give a glimpse of Vash's gun, and we get this response from Roberto. He gave this specific facial expression because he saw Vash's gun in this scene. So I did like that part where Roberto had that response. And then once he sits down, they're just talking about specific things. Vash is like, moving his arms around because more than likely, sand has gotten within the gears of his arm, his left arm. So that's understandable of him trying to at least get the kinks working and moving. So I like that detailed part because, of course, he's out here in the middle of nowhere. There's sand everywhere. It can definitely get in the crevices. It's very different than, where skin can block the sand, but it can, of course, get under your nails and stuff like that. But an interesting conversation that they had, right? Where they're talking about stuff, and then that's when we get the military pulling up. They're actually looking for Vash, and Merle's response I found even more interesting because Merle jumped on like, hey, they can help us, this, that, and the third, but then they pull up and they're just like all about business. The main captain here, he hands her the wanted poster. She looks at it. Of course, Roberto's going to look at it. We get the key visual of the. Thought I had it. You know what? I didn't grab it. Probably because I already had it somewhere else. That's right. I didn't grab it because I was like, I already have it. There's no point in re-screenshotting this all over again. But it's right here. Just transform. Because I was curious and wondering like who was holding this at the beginning, and then we found out that it's it's Merle that was holding the poster, should I say? And like I said, I love Merle's response. It was just different because she looked at it like, hey. She looked at the number too. She had to look at that number. It was just like, well, we need to interview him. It's going to be the interview of a lifetime, this, that, and the third. Of course, she's going to look at the actual, where is it? She's going to look at the bounty itself. But her response, give me what I want. There we go. Because Vash is in the background. Actually, I did screenshot twice because the camera actually focused and defocused and all of that in this scene, this one specific scene. There we go. Merle's response to reading that, looking at the warrant, looking at the bounty, all of that, and she makes the decision to lie. And say like, I did see this guy, he went this way, blah, blah, blah. But I do like how Vash was, I have actually used this as my thumbnail for the video today. Where are you? Where did you go? Here we go. I like how he was just like chilling over here. He was chilling over here, listening in. Because he went from like a goofy side to a more serious side in this moment because he's like, oh, the military's here, they're looking for me. I don't know what they're going to do because I just met them. I just like how he was just like sitting off to the side, just listening in. And of course, like I said, Merle makes the decision to lie, send them in a different direction. And he just couldn't believe what she did. But very grateful that that she did that. And I do like how sometimes with the sunglasses, Sometimes you see his eyes, sometimes you don't. And I want to say a lot of time. I want to say most of the time, or even all of the time in the episode itself, when they had his eyes, like you couldn't see them with the sunglasses, and then when they did show up, it seemed like it was more of Vash being serious. Like anytime he was wearing the glasses, like how they look here, except for this spot here, any other time it was like Vash was like really serious when they decided to shift to focus his eyes more that you can see them through the sunglasses. I think this was like the only time, but then hold on, let me go back. Let me see. Was this? Okay, so another time. So this is another time. So that's two. So probably about 3 or 4 times, but mostly any other time when they did have Vash do this with his sunglasses, it was more of a serious tone from him. But I definitely like how Merle grabbed them when, like I said, this is when she was saying, like, we're gonna, it's the video interview of a lifetime. We're gonna go out here. We're gonna do this. Blah blah blah. You're gonna come with, right? And Vash had that look on his face as he's looking up from the ground. I do like this spot here. Kind of reminds me of Demon Slayer with Tanjiro when he was laid on the ground, centered around the Hashira, and he was sort of kind of being on trial. And I don't think I have that. Let me see. I might have it. Let me see. Give me a moment. I'm gonna try to see if I can find it. If I do, I don't think. A whole bunch of images of other stuff, but I may have deleted it. Cause I did delete some images from somewhere. Yeah, I don't have it. But it's okay. It's not that big a deal. But I can literally vision Tanjiro's response, his facial expressions, the injuries on his face, all of that. Now, one thing that I did like is very, very, like, literally. Oh, this is what I'm going to talk about. This moment here, it was with Merle, it was with Vash, and I forget specifically what they were talking about. Give me a moment. I'm gonna try to look this up because I need to. Hold on. Because it was something that Vash had said to her, and it was just a response. How she. Because I would say for this specific moment in episode 1, this was very un-Merle-like. I was just like, wow, like they decided to have her do this per her character, compared to the original, that I thought was very interesting. This is the moment here. Yeah. So let me pull up the actual episode. Because again, like I said, I thought that this was interesting. Because again, her response here, even how she kind of goes like goo goo gaga-ish, I'm just gonna try to pull up that specific conversation real quick. Because again, this is not Merle-like. Like, seriously, it's not like her. Because Merle was talking about clearing his name, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And, yeah, she's talking about getting the exclusive. she reminds Roberto, because Roberto keeps calling her like rookie and stuff, but she's like saying, you know, my name is Merle Strife, blah blah blah, get it right, this is who I am. Vash responds and says, running into such nice folks, I can't believe my luck. What a blessing. Merle response, her response is this. It's two specific things. It's again, it's the same thing wrapped in one, but it's just that she says, oh, don't go flattering me. And she, like I said, it's like she goes a little, you know, like blushing and stuff. I kind of felt like it was a little non-Merle like, just a little bit, here in this moment. So it's just something that they decided to put here, that just stood out to me a lot here. Let me see. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna tell my lady. So yeah, but after all of this, right, something specific that stood out to me here in the episode was this. It was a map. They gave us a map of 7 cities, union of the 7 cities. You know, specifically where they were going. So I want to say this map here is what we're probably going to see in each episode of where they're actually going next. And it's going to pinpoint. Because they do this a lot in Star Wars too. Specific maps. People talking about specific things. I know I'll be doing it too eventually on my Star Wars channel. If you're a Star Wars fan, you can check out my channel. It's called Star Wars Unlimited Universe. But they decided to give us a map. And they pinpoint again Genora Rock, where they're specifically going to now. And I like how, as we look at the entire map, we see July way on the right, the Hopeland Orphanage, the Great Sand Ocean, you know, all of this stuff, Windmill Village, you know, Terminal, all of this. So I want to say that per each episode of this, at least I would say first core, I want to say it's going to be split into 2 cores. First core, we're going to get, maybe even possibly throughout the entire anime, but what we are going to do, we're going to get them pinpointing where they're headed next. That's what I believe is going to happen. This is just an assumption on my end. I'm not too sure. This is just what I saw. And again, they showed this map for like roughly 3 seconds. It was really, really quick, maybe 4 at tops. And then they jump right into them actually walking into the entrance. More so Merle than anything. Because we even get I want to say this is the outside. Yeah, this here is the outside opening of, you know, Genoa Rock here, just before they even arrive. Let's see. Merle had looked at it. She was looking over something that went by her. I can't remember specifically what had walked by her here in this specific spot. And then she goes in. We get the actual sign of Genoa Rock here. She even says it like, you know, Genoa Rock, which I love. And then we go, we walk in and we get this is from the trailer, specifically this moment when the camera's panning down to look in this specific scene just before it pauses. This is from the trailer itself. Then of course we get her walking into the bar here and looking around. One of the guys said something to her about her being young and being in the wrong place or something like that. I can't remember specifically, but she's looking around at stuff. But it's just one of those villages, towns that, everybody knows everybody. It's small. You figure, people know each other by name. Um, you know, crime uh, maybe low in this village, this town. Um, but Merle specifically is looking to have a specific conversation with Rosa. Uh, yeah, so she had, Rosa had noticed Merle when she first walked in, and that's when, they have the conversation. That's when they walk up to each other. And let's see specifically what Merle had said to her. Yeah, one of the guys yelled at her, saying the place for kids, little miss. She had requested water, but Merle had set it too low. And Vash says what he says, like, I had a feeling you were there. You can talk about Rosa. But like I said, she specifically had asked for water. And I like how the episode just like pinpoints that, but you don't notice that that's what they're talking about here. There's a reason why Merle comes up to Rosa to ask about water in the first place. Here when they're having a conversation. But there's a reason for that. And we're finding out there's a reason for that as this scene progresses. But I do like how Vash had said what he said. She, Rosa turns, she gets super excited. I just like that because Vash is very personable. He's, somebody that you can just have a sit down conversation, buddy, all of that, and be, pretty much cool with. And I do like this part where when Rosa lifted up the thing here to get bumped from behind the counter, that Merle was like, basically like, she was shocked and surprised and was just like, oh my goodness, like I wasn't expecting that to occur. She almost fell over. I did like that moment here. And I do like how Vash was looking at the kid, and the kid was just like standoffish a little bit because he didn't know what was really going on here in that moment. I do like that here. But of course, they're having the conversations about various things, and then that's when Rosa gives her the water, and you're just sitting back, you're just like, ooh. But I totally understand. Already knew. It's just like, oh, their water, it sucks because the specific water plant, the plant itself, Vash had fixed it for them to even, that's the thing, the machine itself stopped running, so they weren't getting water. Vash fixed it so that they could, but again, Vash couldn't clean the water itself. So they just have to suck it up. This isn't healthy for the General Rock people in this town. This is not good. And Roberto had already noticed it too. That's the other thing, because Merle wasn't really paying attention. Roberto mentions, he nods to look to her left here, and you're just like, oh man, you're looking around, Merle's looking around, and she sees the glasses on the table. Like literally, of course you got the the liquor bottles, probably some wine bottles, stuff like that, but you have the regular normal bottles, glasses of water sitting on these tables, as people are just coming here just to simply just chill, play some cards, probably some spades or something like that. And we notice about the water, and then that's when Rosa talks about the machine, Vash fixing it, like I said. But again, they, the plant whereas it talks about the plant and stuff like that. But that's when Vash, he puts that smile on his face. Another one where the glasses, you can't see his eyes, but he has a smile on his face. It's just like, you know, I'm the man. I did what I could, right? Let me see. And of course we go right into them going to the actual plant, which is here. The door is opening. I do like how the door was opening. And they're walking in, and then that's when everything becomes purple. Because the machine, you know, it wasn't fully functioning. Vash at least got it running for the Genoa Rock town folk, but they need specific things to occur for this to fully function. But again, we find out, you know, there's a reason why it's not fully functioning. There is a specific reason why. And originally, I know I talked about this in the live stream a couple of months back, where I was thinking, I believe a couple of us others were thinking too, that in this moment here, and from the trailer, that I was thinking that maybe those specific things where the plant is actually sitting, basically, this is part of the plant, that originally thought that those were like, you know, these capsules were keeping specific people from Vash and Knives ship and stuff like that. Like, I really thought that was what that was for, but that's not the case at all. It wasn't at all. It's just that it's the plant itself. You know, they basically need to try to save the plant, because the right side of the plant is working, but the left side isn't. It's just like, man, it's just like freaking sucks. It just sucks. And I just watered my plant here at home yesterday, if I remember correctly. I think it was yesterday. Need to water it like twice a week. One of my best friends got me a plant. My very first plant. It was very, very kind of her to do that. But I do like this part here where they show the actual plant in, you know, within Vash's sunglasses before they show his eyes. Let me see. But then, of course, you know, military shows up. Liz, you say, I found it interesting how they changed plants into a two-part system. Yeah. Right. Maybe they looked at it was just like, we're just gonna do it to where maybe to have the plant function longer. Like eventually the plant, like eventually the plant will get to this point, I guess. Or any plant. And they have to eventually replace the systems over time, so that way, you know, yeah, if something goes wrong, they still have one that's still allowing it to maintain the system itself just a little bit. Reminds me of a battery with another, yeah, right. So that's why I'm saying, like, totally agree, Liz. Like, they do it this way to where it's like, okay, it's functioning. It just functions longer. Before ultimately it gets to the side that it's on, where it's red and it looks like blood is in there or something like that. That's what it looks like, to be honest, inside the capsule on the left. But again, when the military shows up, it's just like, oh my goodness, you know, it's about to go down. You know, the guy here, the bum, he punches Vash in the stomach and he throws him across to his buddies, and they beat him down with their guns. I believe he had a bloody nose too, if I remember. Let me see. Yeah, like, they beat him down here. If I remember correctly, they gave him a bloody nose. I don't know if I got that one. I may have. Yeah, a little bit of a bloody nose, but his glasses didn't break, which was great. I thought that was cool. But I found it interesting that Roberto decided to step in, and he was just like, "Hold on, you know, what about this headline where he talks about it?" Let me pull it up here. This is going to make a great article. How about this for a headline? The July military police show their weakness, cowardly drawing guns on unarmed suspect. And crap, I didn't mean to back all the way up. And originally I thought that yeah, and that's when he says, if you're a real man, if you're a real man, you will do this through a duel. And originally, like I said, I was thinking when I first sat down, when I was sitting there watching this episode yesterday, that Roberto was going to actually do something, because I was like, okay, he's currently in Millie's spot, where it's supposed to be Millie and Merle, or Merle and Millie, however you want to call it. And Roberto, he says this line: if you're a man, you settle us with a duel. But then he also says, otherwise you'll be known as a coward for the rest of your days. And I'm like, oh man, Roberto must have a separate side of him, or a past, or something where his character is more than what it seems. Maybe it still is, but I originally thought that Roberto here in this moment, he was literally, I felt like he was showing a different side to himself. But that wasn't the case. It was more so just like, hey, let's settle this in a duel. We're gonna have Vash do it. Just like, what? I sat back and I was just like, really? Like, you're gonna have Vash do it instead? But with that, I do like this moment here where they both. This is like something. It's like such a guy moment for us, where we thrive on something like this. The blood rushes through us, the excitement of something like this. They both literally the testosterone, all of that is flowing in such a way that they both laugh in this moment. It's just like, yeah, it's about to go down. We're about to do this duel. And then, like I said, come to find out that it's going to be Vash versus the leader of this military group here, that is actually coming after Vash, right? But with that, though, Merle was saying something specific, though. Let me pull this up. Because I believe Rosa was too. Because there are people that are betting on this duel. Merle was saying, Roberto, not sure a duel is the best idea. I mean, he seems really bad at this. And then Roberto says, you don't win a duel by drawing first. If you shoot too early or too slow, you lose. And Roberto also says that Vash, from his perspective, he says he might not be as bad as you think. I want to say, like Roberto, he's somebody that assesses people rather quickly in a moment, even if it's just a small mention of this specific person is this way or that way or whichever. And I feel like Roberto just knew there was something different about Vash, even in meeting him. One of the main reasons, more than likely, because of his left arm. But I do believe, again, he did notice earlier in the episode that Vash carried a gun, around. So he just kind of figured, like, you know, it's just one weapon, but it's a specific weapon. And, you know, there's that. And of course, we get, you know, your boy here. He's excited about doing this duel. And Vash, of course, he doesn't draw, even though he's requesting that he does. And he's just like, I'm not going to do it. And again, that's when we get the bum here. He decides that he wants to do something specific. And what is that specific thing? He takes off his whole holster for his gun. He holds it out. And even in this moment, like, I sat back and I remember the trailers and everything like that. Even in this moment, I was just like, for a split second, I was like, yo, is he about to just, like, not use his weapon? Even Vash is surprised, right? But then, like I said, he decides to toss his gun in Vash's direction basically as a distraction. And then he pulls out, you know, his multi-rocket launching thing here to use in the shoot in the air. It was a smart play. I would say it's a smart play by the leader here of the military, because Vash wasn't expecting him to do that, and he did it anyway. Of course, we get the rocket shooting in the air, and we get the piece splitting, and then we get the multiple dangerous things getting ready to come falling down below the people, again, which is very, very bad. And Vash, really responsive, ready to get it. I'm just skipping over some spots. He pulls his gun out again. This is per the trailer, because I can't remember per the trailer they showed this moment with the stuff. But I do like Vash here, where his response is, what? Where are my bullets? Why isn't anything coming, shooting in the air? And we found out why. Yeah, this is bad. So he's yelling at the people as these are coming down. I need a bullet, any ammo, 22 caliber. And I love this one because he's scrambling. He's even crying. I don't know if I caught that. I think I did. Yeah, this is where he's yelling and he's crying like, tears of fear. Like, this is bad. Like, nobody has any type of anything. I believe Miro had asked Roberto, why is anybody helping? If I remember correctly. Yeah, so he's up there yelling, he's up there crying, and tears of fear and worry. Just cracking me up in this moment. But then, of course, that's when Rosa comes around with the bullet, with the one bullet. What are the odds that this one bullet does what it does in the hands of Vash, right? All of this occurring, all in this moment. And love Vash running after the bullet, and of course the bum, leader of the military. He's trying to stop Vash from handling his business. But I do like how the animation style was happening here in this moment when Vash was chasing after the bullet itself to make it do what it do, putting the bullet in the gun, pointing his gun in the air to shoot. And of course, that's when, like I said, that's when he steps in, the bum, to shoot his gun out the way. And then we get the infamous moment from the original teaser where he's shooting at Vash. Too quick with it, too serious, too quick. He's like, you ain't getting me, son. And I actually like this moment too, because Vash does something specific, because you weren't expecting Vash to do this, but he does it anyway. He literally I missed it. No, I didn't miss it. Where are you? Yeah. So he decides to do the quick maneuvering, and he flips the guy. Literally flips him. And it's more than one motion. He flips him down to the ground, right? Slams him, bounces him up. Nice little motion. To get him up. And then I thought I captured it too. Then again, I may not have. Where he bops him in the back of his neck to knock him out. And then he uses his gun to shoot up. To really fully prepare to shoot in the direction. Plus grabbing the rock. Because in this moment, I feel like Vash decided he had a second opinion in this moment to say, let me grab the rock first, because there's so many, because again, because he didn't have any ammo on him and stuff, and even with the bullet in that moment, I feel like here he was just like, all right, let me grab this rock out of the ground and let me really do what I need to do here. Tossing the rock in the air, and then of course, like I said, we get the cool moment here where he shoots and he hits the rock. I want to say right in dead center in the middle of the rock. And he gets the actual ricochet of the pieces bouncing off of the rockets, and we get the climactic, basically. Which was just really, really, to me, it was just really cool to see how he did that. And he pretty much saves yet another town. But again, Roberto, because they're having a specific conversation after all of this goes down, I definitely like that Roberto noticed something about Vash. How he could pick this up was interesting in itself, but he specifically asked Vash, what are, you weren't afraid, you were really cool and calm over in this moment, but something else specifically, what are you really fully fearful of? And of course, like I said, we get the him bringing up knives, millions of knives, and we get the flashback of, like I said earlier in the stream, where we actually see the fire, we actually see the bodies of their people in flames and stuff, and Knives is laughing hysterically. Vash is down below watching all of this occur. He's looking up. Again, a lot of this stuff is from the trailer itself. And Knives, again, he says it. He says, I did it. I did this, and you are my accomplice, Vash. Of course, looking down at him, and he says his name, Vash. But with that, we get the younger Vash, and then we get the adult Vash. I mean, sorry, not the younger Vash, but the younger Knives, and we get the adult Knives playing the piano here in this area. very creepy music playing, creepy everything. Let me see what he says because I can't remember specifically. Because again, he is playing. Let me. I don't want this stream to get blocked. What are my neighbors doing upstairs? What if I was sleeping, taking a nap? I'm just like speaking out loud. So Knives says, so you found him, take me to where he's at. They're filthy parasites. And this time, I'll completely eliminate them. Trigun Stampede. I do like just everything about this scene as he's playing and what he says here. It's just like, wow. We get a good bunch of shots of everything here, right? And I like this close-up of the statue here. Very, very creepy. Just creepy stuff, right? Just cool, just dope. I really enjoyed the ending as well. I really just like this whole thing. That's pretty much the episode itself. But again, like I said at the beginning of the stream, like, I found it interesting that they would introduce Knives here at the beginning. They just, again, because again, like I said, guys, this is a remake, and they make a decision to say, you know, what's going on, dude? How are you? Hope Allah Star never gets a CG reboot. Okay, that's totally fine, dude. I don't know, maybe they won't get a remake at all. But I find it interesting that they make the decision to show Knives, mention Knives here at the end of the episode, when in the original we didn't get anything about Knives until later down the road. So again, this is a remake. I'm sorry for the noise upstairs. I don't know what's going on. Whatever they're doing, I apologize. But let me I'm gonna turn the music up some. Try to drown out some of what's going on up there, because I don't know what they're doing. This is very random. I decided to do this today, of all days, on a random moment here. But yeah, like I said, Knives being mentioned, Merle's character, you said it's a pyramid head. Knives character being named, Merle, a little bit different from what we're used to having her. You know, Roberto being here and not Millie. But again, like I said earlier in the stream, I feel like Millie is just pushed to the side for now, and eventually she'll come into the fold. I just don't know when specifically this is going to occur. Who knows for sure? Maybe Roberto is just a temporary thing. Maybe they might, I don't know, send Roberto off somewhere else. Hopefully he doesn't die off, but I don't know. Who knows for sure how they're who decided to put Roberto in Millie's spot for the anime itself, for this remake. But with that, just these few changes and what they decided to do for this first episode, I found to be very, very interesting, very intriguing even. And I'm just like I said, I'm just curious, wondering once, episodes 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I believe this is going to be a first half of the first season, and then we'll get the rest of the episodes in the coming months later. Wondering and curious as to what is going to be coming down the line. But with that, I'm going to get out of it because this noise is getting on my nerves. But if you watched most of, if not all of this stream, the replay and all that, leave some comments section below of the video. Elizabeth, and the homie here. Thanks for stopping by. Glad that you all were able to catch the stream. Gonna try to my best next week to do another live stream to talk about episode 2 next week. Gonna do my best to try to get get the my thoughts and stuff out there. And then maybe, like I said, maybe do another live stream next Monday just to talk about, so people give people time to really take in this episode. But with that, guys, I'm out. Leave some comment sections below. Let's talk about some things if you feel up to it. And as always, I'll hopefully talk to you all next time with another